Playing on a Budget is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the best Magic the Gathering singles and sealed retailer on the internet, GatheringMagic.com, your #1 source for Magic the Gathering news and content, and RogueDeckBuilder.com, my personal channel filled with innovative and entertaining Magic the Gathering rogue brews. Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com with match number 4 with the U-White Flash, the Blue-White Flash Flyers. Yes, we'd like to play first. Yes, we'd like to keep this hand. It is okay. Nothing too special about it. We have a first turn. Let's go with a Faerie Miscreant. It seems like to be the play of choice. So I'm just going to reveal this Prairie stream. And we'll start off with a Faerie Miscreant. And we will pass the turn to our opponent and see what we're up against. Hopefully not another Seasons Past deck. Just a green. Alright, so we will actually... I think I'll just play this Plains. Probably should have revealed that. Didn't like drawing to that last Plains. It actually gives us mana for the Foundry of the Consuls, which I'm actually liking more of as a... maybe a 3 of. Still thinking this deck probably wants an Archangel Avacyn. Seems like to be the missing piece to this deck being incredibly aggressive. It also helps us against like Radiant Flames. Duskwatch Recruiter, nothing I can do against that card. But we will flash in our beautiful Dimensional Infiltrator. Alright, so hopefully we get some action here. Faerie Miscreant's fine. Play it, it draws us a card. And there's a Clash of Wills that we will be using later on for the... I think we just cast everything here. It's just Prairie Stream into play tapped. And Topplegeist. Tap down his Duskwatch Recruiter. So we don't need Clash of Wills till next turn. And we'll attack in for 3. And this turn, still no up against. We could be up against like a Bant Humans or just a green-white Humans or a Bant Company. There's tons of things this could be. I think he's just gonna let his guy flip. Nope, he'll cast a Sylvan Advocate. So here now we have the mana. Oh, an Ojutai's Command is beautiful. This is perfect. We will just go with a plain... Ooh, I should have gone Foundries. That can give me a way to balance my Infiltrator, but we'll attack in. We are winning this race. His Duskwatch Recruiter does flip, unfortunately, but that actually might be a good thing for us. Still winning the race because we're so far ahead. We have the Collected Company mana, or Clash of Wills for the Collected Company. I can actually counter a creature. So we have a Cryptic Command essentially versus this deck, countering a creature spell and drawing a card. He does get the ability to just go crazy with the Duskwatch Recruiter being flipped, making creature spells cost 1 less. Such a... card is so good. So we'll go down to a 13, happily. And a Sylvan Advocate, I think, is okay. Yeah, maybe I should have countered it. Port Town, I think, can just come into play tap. That's fine. Wondering what he still has in his hand. He needs 6 lands for that Sylvan Advocate. We're taking 7 damage here. And do I care? I'd rather draw a card to try to find me. Does counter draw make sense here? I think it does. Unfortunately, this thing is just... Oh well. Finds us nothing. So we could just lose this just to drawing the... We have the Foundry of the Consuls that can actually play backup here. We can do quite a bit of damage. Or I think I just attack in with like a Dimensional Infiltrator and a Faerie Miscreant. We do have instant... we don't have creature in the graveyard quite yet, though. We could have land in instant. We need a sorcery. A sorcery off the top would be pretty good here, too. A land is not what we wanted, so I do need to leave back at least one blocker. Probably two. I'm just going to get in here for these two, the Dimensional Infiltrator and the Faerie Miscreant. And that puts lethal on board for the following turn. And leaves me back 4 blockers. So we could have like an Ojutai's Command. He does not. Okay, so we'll pass it here. Block and block. And just take 2. So they didn't want to tap out. Well, we will tap out here. Just because it gets us around Ojutai's Command, we will be attacking with everything. So we find another Faerie Miscreant. I'm going to go ahead and play it. And we just win anyway. Very confused about what he has in his hand. Why he couldn't cast it. All Bant cards, possibly, like all Reflector Mages. Speaking of Reflector Mage, this is your time to shine. Horrible Awry is beautiful in this one. We don't need any of the other stuff. I don't know if this is a company deck, so I'm not quite on the Hallowed Moonlight. This is where Negate and Hallowed Moonlight are fine. Stasis Snare is a card I don't know if I care too much about. Epiphany of Drownyard's out here. Clash of Wills, we can go down in Clash of Wills because I think that Horrible Awry is just better in Reflector Mage. I do like keeping in just a 1-of. And it's going to be cards like the Bygone Bishop is not necessary whatsoever in this one. We cut a couple of them. The card draw is still good. The flash is still good with the Rattlechains. But I think it's the weakest link. And Stratus Dancer is actually something that I can keep in for the Collected Company and just be an aggressive card. So I don't think I need negates in that case. We'll be fine. I think we'll just go ahead and submit this. Well, do I want Faerie Miscreants and Topplegeist? That's actually... This is where I think Topplegeist and Faerie Miscreants are bad. And Bygone Bishops, but... So Clash of Wills actually could come in. Well, I haven't seen enough of the deck to really justify the negates. But yeah, I think I will. I think that we'll cut the Topplegeists for the Bygone Bishops. And then I can just keep 1 Topplegeist in. This is a very risky hand. We're on the draw, though. I think I'm going to keep it just because of how good Declarations of Stone are. In this match, unfortunately, we do not hit our land drop. And we can cast everything for 2. So I need to hit a comes to play untap land, which actually isn't very many. We miss it. Topplegeist is okay. It gives us something we can do. But missing that land drop is probably... So it's a black-green deck. So this is not a clue what we're up against. Love for him to go another Sylvan Advocate. We can get some value. Tireless Tracker. That's a card I need to take care of immediately. We do find the island. I do believe that taking care of the Tireless Tracker is the right play. As we don't really have another... Well, we can counter something, but he gains so much card advantage. off of the Tireless Tracker. So he's going to draw a card, though. So possibly that wasn't the right line of play. He finds a land, so the Advocate comes down. And nothing. Okay, now I feel like we're in an okay position. We still need to draw into some lands. Really suffering from the lack of lands here, but we do have action, which is the good news. And he does have another forest in hand. So just going to keep attacking with the Sylvan Advocates. And we'll just splash into Dimensional Infiltrator. He could collect a company in response. He doesn't. But when he drops his other land, he's attacking for a 4/5. Actually, unfortunately, I don't have any way to deal with it. If he collected companies, I can't actually Clash of Wills. He has the mana. The Dromoka's command, though, we can Rattlechains here. No, we can't. No, we can't. That just happens. That just happens. We do have creature and sorcery in the graveyard now, though. Can be hard to get a land in the battle. I thought about running the Angelic Purge, though, to get a land for Topplegeist, but it's not that important for Topplegeist. There's a Sylvan Advocate. I'm just have to take 5. We have to declare that guy. Hope he casts a creature here. Couple Rattlechains. Faerie Miscreant gives us a blocker. Is that just better than declaring this guy? I don't think it is. That gives him a draw, though. I'm so worried about a collected company. But kept a 1-lander, and we're getting punished for that. Let's see if Coco comes down. He might just have the worst draw. See if he cracks a clue. Stasis Snare. Yeah, not worried about that. Surprised he kept those type of cards in. And he'll crack a clue. Alright. Surprisingly, we're in pretty decent shape. Can't counter anything here, but our opponent does nothing. Love to draw land. Did not draw land. So Clash of Wills is so useless. I think Horrible Awry is better, though, than nothing. Jeez, he is getting very unlucky. I have nothing I can flash in here, though. Come on, land. There's our land. So we can Faerie Miscreant. Attack in. Other than that, Shambling Vent is going to be a pain to deal with. We're getting close to these the Thunderclap Wyverns. And the Bygone Bishops are incredibly good. Declaration in Stone, sure. Maybe she's got a handful of removal. That's what I expected. This allows us to actually use our clue, though. And we do find an island. That's awesome. Gives us some play for his Shambling Vent. Now we're finding the lands. See if he still goes for a Shambling Vent. Wasteland Strangler, which is enters the battlefield. We will Horribly Awry it. I don't like doing this, but because we did have a card exiled, we do have the Stasis Snare. So probably just going to make his Shambling Vent, activate his Shambling Vent again, and attack in, which is smart. Tons of lands on our opponent's side. So we have another Horribly Awry, so I do think that we just go Bygone Bishop. And attack in. And now we can block his Shambling Vent. And we've got, Susie's been waiting for a target for the Wasteland Strangler. So we'll counter that one. So that was a great top deck. And he'll activate. I do have to worry about a Dromoka's Command in his hand, because he 2-for-1s me here. But I think it's worth it. I have to stop the bleeding. Alright, awesome. So he just gained some life. We're fine in that aspect. There's another Bygone Bishop. I think we just wait for Thunderclap. So I'll just attack him with the Topplegeist. Ten lands our opponent's side. Crazy. 11. See if he's got a Stasis Snare for the Bygone Bishop. Oh, no, this doesn't trigger off the Bygone. That's right. Reflector Mage. Kind of useless. Could have got him down to a 1 there, right? If I'd have cast the Thunderclap and attacked in. 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. And another land. Feel bad for my opponent. This is just hate when the flood happens. Now this I think I just let go through. Rather than risk a Dromoka's Command. I'm not quite sure that's the right line of play. But I mean, that's just lethal here anyway. And then we have Clash of Wills mana. Which, yeah. The Flood. Sometimes you get lucky in this game. We'll go in the wrap-up video. This deck performed phenomenally well. Thanks for watching. Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com with the wrap-up video for this week's Playing on a Budget. This deck was pretty good with a 3-in-1 finish. I thought it performed phenomenally well. A little bit of things that I would change here if you're not on a budget is definitely go up to 24 lands. Probably just another Foundry of the Consuls, to be honest. And put in this bad boy of the Archangel Avacyn. Avacyn. Spell Avacyn right. Or still not spell it right. I know what's happening here. We need to go to quantity 0 because I don't have any of these on MTGO. So the Archangel Avacyn works perfectly in this sort of deck. In the main board is probably a 2 of all the way up to a 4 of I could justify. The Epiphany of the Drownyard I think hasn't I don't know. I just liked having some sort of card draw. It didn't seem that great. I think it'd cut the Epiphany of the Drownyard completely. Throw in an Archangel Avacyn. Throw in the another land, and possibly just put the dancers over to the sideboard. I think that there was a lot of times the dancers just kind of awkward, even versus decks that you want to counter spells. I don't know if that's the correct line of play. I do believe you need to go up to 24, though, if you're going to be bringing in some Archangel Avacyns. The other card that I thought was kind of neat is Dragonlord Dromoka, or Ojutai, excuse me. And Dragonlord Ojutai is a pretty nifty card against control because it's hard for them to kill it. The cool thing about Dragonlord Ojutai and always watching is it always has hexproof when you attack. But I think that at that point it's just too cute with always watching. I guess if you could justify going an always watching deck, flying deck with the Archangel of Ties, but then your curve is incredibly high, and at that point I think you need to cut like the Topplegeist and Faerie Miscreants, and it just still I'd only suggest like a one of always watching. But that would be my guess is the Stratus Dancers over the sideboard you could easily cut. The Hallowed Moonlight might not be necessary in this deck just because you have negates to kind of deal with the collected companies instead of Hallowed Moonlight. You don't get to draw a card off that, but I think negate is just more versatile. Or you could cut some Reflector Mages. We didn't get to see how good Reflector Mages were, but I think that they're going to, against those like Bant Company and then just the Aristocrats-based decks, they're going to be the key piece to out-tempoing your opponent. So I highly suggest keeping them in. I think it would be the Hallowed Moonlights, put the Stratus Dancers over, cut a land, or add a land, excuse me, add one more Foundry, and that's the list I would run. I think that the rest of the cards perform pretty well. The two of Stasis Snare Declaration Stone seem to be the right amount of removal in the main board. Again, that's another card, Stasis Snare, you could bring over to the sideboard and keep the Stratus Dancers in. Just because Stratus Dancer, I guess, is a little more versatile if you just want to cast as a 2/1 flyer. But I would even suggest you could easily go up to a full playset of Archangel Avacyn in this deck that's that good, because you do want to keep up mana with flash cards. And at that point, maybe Bygone Bishop might not be as good. Maybe cut the quantities of Bygone Bishop. At this point, it just has very good synergy with Rattlechains, and I'm not quite sure that the synergy is justified. But I'm definitely looking forward to your suggestions in the comment section, how you would brew the specific deck if I'm missing a card. I thought about even like Gideon's Reproach, or what's the one that destroys a black or red attacking creature? Other than there's not many black or red attacking creatures right now in the metagame. If Vampires ever does become a tier 1 deck, or even like a Werewolves type strategy, then you could think about that. The only thing that kills right now is really Kalatas. Not a lot of other black creatures in the format. We are a very green dominated format. I think white and green are by far the most played colors, and being the most common color combination being green-white tokens. So hopefully we get some love out of the Eldritch Moon set for some vampires and some werewolves and some spirits. And if we especially get spirits, especially a flash spirit, or even like a Lingering Souls or what's the Spectral Procession type card, the Thunderclap Wyvern gets even that much better with the other creatures you control get flying. So an instant speed, so Hallowed Moonlight. Hallowed Moonlight would be perfect for a reprint. And I think if we would get Hallowed Moonlight in like this in the Eldritch Moon, you could get rid of like possibly Faerie Miscreants and another flash. That'd be beautiful, because it just curves perfectly with Thunderclap. In Magic, curve is everything. So going 1, 2, 3, so a Topplegeist into Rattlechains into a Hallowed Moonlight into a Thunderclap Wyvern, and still all those having flash, being able to flash those in, that is huge, because there's little decisions you need to be making. You don't ever have to tap out, which is why I like this deck so much. Tempo is alive and well. I think it did very good in this particular list of decks. Even that deck we lost to the Season Pass, which I think is a tough matchup for any sort of deck. I think we have a better chance against that than, say, a lot of these humans-based strategies that just can't race a languish. because we actually have ways. I think that if I would have played around it, I think I made some poor choices in counterspelling the Woodland Bellower, and then just the stupid attack I did with the Stratus Dancer cost me those games. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this playing on a budget. I'm glad to be back on a more of a winning record than the past two terrible losing records. But that's the kind of the double-edged sword of being a brewer. Sometimes your brews are absolute garbage, and sometimes you get these pleasant surprise, and they work out very well. So anyway, this has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. Thanks for watching.